We're about probably 30 hours after the big snow we got here in southern Missouri. And this is the plow truck I'd talked about. We'd spent a couple of years putting together. And I say putting together, it had the mount and it had been using this. I think it's a Western plow. Seemed to do really good. It is a fixed straight plow. It's not a V style, but really worked pretty well, flawlessly. I didn't have any failures on the plow itself. Really, the truck did great. It did have a failure. I'm going to get to that here in a minute. But I couldn't be more impressed with how quick and the quality of job that it did. I told you I kind of had to build a little bit of this, and I had basically a used wiring harness that I bought off, I think it was eBay, and the plugs weren't right and they weren't making connections, so I just put some aftermarket plugs in there and kind of made that work. It didn't have any issue. I carried extra pins with me, which there's a set of pins there on my four-wheeler, which we'll take a look at here in a minute. It has, I usually lose a pin or two throughout the plowing job. Didn't have any issues there. This is an easy setup. There's two mounting points that give it the ability to pivot. They both worked perfect. I didn't have any problems with them. So very happy with this Western snow plow. The controls inside of it, they worked out good. I guess I could show you my failure here. See if I can get this hood open one-handed. I think this is probably common, and if you've plowed snow, especially up north, you probably have run into this before. But I blew a brake line. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Right there is a union that somebody else had already been in there, and this main line right here runs over to the ABS unit, and somebody had already put a union in there previously. Thankfully, it blew within about an inch or so of that union fitting down there, so I was able to cut it back, get into some good steel line again, and re-flare it. I did double flare it. I didn't put a compression fitting on here. I did tell you that this was a V10 that we put in here. This was out of a van. There was a guy on eBay. Now, I don't recommend a lot of people doing the eBay engine thing. I chalked it up that it was about $1,200 cheaper than buying one from a local wrecking yard. And I took the gamble. It was supposedly a 100,000 mile van engine, and so far it's been really good. We put it in well over a year ago. I haven't driven it a lot, but I had zero issues with that. So the 6.8 V10 did me a good job. The four-wheel drive worked out great. Sorry for the loud noise. I don't know that I can show it here, but it has a complete, and I mean complete, new front end under it. Not necessarily the differential, but steering, suspension, as well as brakes. Tires did good. I put a little salt weight in the back. That all worked out good. This was kind of the extra stuff that I brought. Block of wood jack. That is a de-icer because the windshield, you know, it was sticking pretty good. And then this was all, you know, just kit stuff. Now, this is the Western connector. I wired it right in there. I do unplug it because it will pull the battery down. It's a very simple controller. You have a power button here, obviously raise, lower, left and right, and then there's a float function. And the other part of this, and I looked for videos, like I've never worked for a landscaping company or anything that would have taught me how to plow, and it's not rocket science. Figuring out where to set your limit skid pads, I don't know what those are called. If somebody does, put it in the comments so I don't feel so dumb. But I had to order those. They didn't come with it. I had to adjust them a little bit. You can see right here probably. I had them set way too low, or I'm sorry, too high. And so I was pushing a lot of gravel there. So I'll have to get that back into the driveway after all this mess melts. The function that allows to, if you hit something stationary and cam forward, I forgot what this plate's called, that all worked. The obviously left and right cylinders worked. The lift cylinder, just kind of figuring out and using some common sense did a lot of good for me. There wasn't a ton of videos out there, and this is not an instructional or how-to video. This is a how I did it video. It did not have these, so before, actually last year, I think I ordered these. The markers to where you can see kind of roughly where the edge of the blade is was top shelf. The old truck did great. I could not be happier with what it did. You know, like I said, it did blow the brake line. For a lot of guys, that would probably be an issue, but being I'm an auto mechanic by trade, was able to fix that, and I plow my automotive shop. So I was at a shop with a lift. So about an hour, I got that all taken care of. The lights worked. That was something I thankfully remember from my grandpa talking about. He plowed snow, and I never went with him or anything like that, but I remember when I was a very little kid that when you run this harness, which is why I ordered one off eBay, I couldn't find a local new one, and you plug it all in. When you plug this in, somehow they've got a setup in there, and it's kind of mounted behind the fender there, that these lights all take over. So it turns off your normal lights, and then these are your high and low beams and your turn signals. So I wired it to where the turn signals still worked on both applications. This side, I think I've got a bulb out now that I need to address, but other than that, the thing worked like a champ. But that's kind of been my 2 cents on this snowplow build, if you will. I did buy and install a caution light up there. It was just a cheap one off Amazon next to that CB antenna, but she was a rock star. She did me a good job, and I'm actually enjoyed it, and we're going to do a lot more plowing if and when Southwest Missouri gets any more snow.